Hello, welcome to Order of Operation Day 3 Notes. So today is going to be a little bit more complex than what we've done yesterday and on Monday. We're going to be focusing on, you'll start seeing expressions that have more exponents. You'll see expressions with decimals. You'll see them with fractions. So we're going to kind of be putting everything together that we've worked on throughout this year. So your learning objective today is to be able to simplify complex expressions using order of operations. So let's take a look at number 1. Now, number 1, you may notice right off the bat, we have a weird symbol that we've never seen before. This symbol kind of look like parentheses, but they are just straight lines. So we see there's a line here and a line here. This is like a grouping symbol, except it just means absolute value. So we're taking the absolute value of whatever's inside that grouping symbol, whatever's inside those bars. Sometimes it can be multiple things are inside those bars, so it could be addition, multiplication, division, whatever. When that's the case, you follow your order of operation, and whatever number you end up with at the end is what you take the absolute value of. For those who don't remember, the definition of absolute value is just how far that number is from 0. So it's the distance from 0. This means that whenever you take the absolute value of a number, it can only be positive, right? If we talk about the distance from something, distance can never be negative. It can only be positive. So looking at the first one, it says the absolute value of -5. So since this is a grouping symbol, it goes along the same lines as parentheses, I'm going to actually do this step first. So -5 is going to come first, or the absolute value of -5 is going to come first. So how far is -5 from 0? Well, it's 5 steps. So the absolute value of -5 is just 5. I'm going to rewrite everything else because I haven't done anything with them. And now I'm going to move to the other grouping symbol, which are parentheses. Inside there, I have the choice between addition or exponent. And I'm going to do the exponent first because exponents come before addition. So remember, this means 6 squared, which is just 6 times 6. And 6 times 6 is 36. So now I have -6 plus 36. I'm not done, though, with my parentheses because now I have to add those two. -6 plus 36 is positive 30. The signs are different, so I know I'm going to subtract them. And I always take the sign of the bigger number. So in this case, my answer will be positive because 36 is bigger than 6. My last step, I have to multiply. I'm going to be doing 5 times 30. You can show that work off to the side if you need to, but a quick way to do this is just know 5 times 3 is 15, and then I'm going to add a 0. So 5 times 30 must be 150. All right, let's move on to number 2. So for number 2, first thing I see are some subtraction symbols. So I'm going to go ahead and change those to addition. So I have 30 plus -3. Then I have a bracket, which is a grouping symbol. -4 times 3 squared plus -7. And then my end of my bracket. All right, I'm going to go and start with my grouping symbols. So those are my brackets and parentheses. Now, although -3 here, -3 right here, this is in parentheses, but there's no operation, so I'm not really counting it. I just use the parentheses to separate the negative sign from the plus sign, so it doesn't really count. Going inside my brackets, again, I see 2 sets of parentheses. So once again, the -4 doesn't really count because it's just meant to separate the negative sign, or it's meant to show the multiplication between these two groups. I go inside my next set of parentheses, and again, I see I have either an exponent or I have addition. exponent comes first, so that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to do 3 squared. Again, remember, this is not 3 times 2. This would be 3 times 3. Okay, rewrite what I have not used just so I can stay organized. Organization is really important in these type of problems because it can be very easy to get lost. 3 times 3 is 9, so now I have 9 plus negative 7. My next step is going to go ahead and add those two. So rewrite what I have not used. Negative 4. 9 plus negative 7. The signs are different, so I'm going to subtract to get 2. And then I also know since 9 is bigger, my answer is going to be positive. Continue inside my brackets. I now have negative 4 times 2 right here. Now remember, when you see a set of parentheses next to each other like that, it means multiplication. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. So now I have 30 plus negative 3. I have negative 8 in here. Keep going. Now my choices are to either do addition or this is multiplication again. We have a parentheses times a bracket. So whenever you have that, it means multiplication. Multiplication is more power than addition, so I'm going to go ahead and multiply. Still haven't used the 30, so I keep bringing it down. Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. Last but not least, I'm going to add those together to get 54. All right, let's move on to number 3. Now, number 3, looking at it, you may think, oh my goodness, this is very complicated. This is a lot. Don't worry. Just take it one step at a time. Don't let yourself get overwhelmed. So, I go through my order of operations. So, parentheses, although I do see a set of parentheses right here, there's no operation in there, so I don't really count it. So now I'm going to move to exponent. So I have 2 sets of exponents. I have an exponent here and an exponent here. I'm going to go ahead and do those both. So this one is going to mean 7 times 7 plus a negative sign. So 7 times 7 is 49, but then I bring down my negative sign. Haven't done anything with the 42 or the negative 3. This one, I'm going to be doing 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. When I multiply those together, I get 16. Haven't done anything with the 7 or the 8. I see I have a subtraction problem right here, so I'm going to go ahead and change that to addition real fast. Negative 49 plus 42 divided by negative 3 plus negative 16 plus 7 times 8. All right, so now I can choose addition, division, addition, addition, multiplication. Well, multiplication and division have a higher priority, so I'm going to go ahead and divide first. If you need to show long division, we can practice that off to the side. So 42 divided by 3. 3 goes into 42 one time. 4 minus 3 is 1. Bring down to 2. 3 goes into 12 4 times, which is just 12. So I know 42 divided by negative 3 is going to be negative 14. Bring down everything else that I have not used. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my multiplication next. Seven times 8 is 56. The rest of my problems are just addition, so I'm just going to go left to right. So I start with negative 49 plus 14, negative 14, sorry. Since they're both negative, I will be adding those together. 49 plus 14 is 63, and since they're both negative, I know it's going to be negative 63. This time I'm going to do negative 63 plus negative 16. Since they're both negative, I am going to add. That's 79. Since they're both negative, it will be negative as well. Remember, those rules are different from multiplying and dividing. So now I have negative 79 plus 56. Last one, since the signs are different, I will have to subtract. If you need to show that math off to the side, you're welcome to. But 79 minus 56 is 23. And since 79 is bigger, I'm going to be taking the negative sign. Okay, all right, number 4. So go ahead, I want you to pause the video, and I want you to try number 4 and 5 on your own. Once you finish, come back to the video and correct your work. All right, let's take a look at number 4. So for number 4, I see I have multiplication, subtraction, division, multiplication, and exponent. Because I do have this subtraction right here, I'm going to rewrite it as addition real fast. All right, so from here, of the operations I listed, I know I need to do exponent first. So I'm going to be doing, remember, it's not 5.5 times 2, it's 5.5 times 5.5. So I'm going to do that math off to the side. 5 times 5 is 25, carry the 2. 5 times 5 is 25 plus 2 is 27. Move over one spot. Since the number is exactly the same, I can just copy down what I did above and add. Think about my decimal placement. So I'm doing approximately 5 times 5, so I know my decimal is best placed after the 30. All right, I can come back over here, fill that in. All right, so now I have multiplication, addition, division, multiplication, addition. So I'm going to start with this multiplication problem right here first, since it's the first one listed. 9.5 times 7, I'm going to do that off to the side just because I know some of us need to show that work, so I wanted to show you what it looks like. 7 times 5 is 35, carry the 3. 7 times 9 is 63, plus 3 is 66. Think of my decimal placement. I know 9 times 7 is about 63, so it makes sense to put the decimal after the 66. Now, because it is a positive times a negative, I know this is going to be negative 66.5. Oops. Now, some of us may say, oh, I'm going to go into addition. You got to pause and think, right? You have a division here and a multiplication here, and those have higher priority. So we're actually going to start with this division right here. And I probably should have been underlining as we go. Sorry about that. Oops. So we did that, and then we did that. So negative 15 divided by negative 3 is positive 5. So I'm going to rewrite. Again, we're still not doing addition because we have this multiplication right here. So I'm going to do 5 times 6, which is 30. Now I can move into addition. So here I have negative 66.5 plus 30. Because those signs are different, I'm going to subtract them. So let's do that math off to the side. So I get 36.5, but since 66.5 is bigger, it's negative 36.5. And then I have plus 30.25. Again, signs are different, so I'm going to subtract them. Oops. I'm going to add my 0 here. Okay, I'm going to have to do some borrowing to make this a 10. So I have 5, 2, and 6. Since 36.5 is bigger, my answer is going to be negative. So if you got that right, kudos to you. This was a very long and complex problem. If you didn't get it right, that's okay. Hopefully you persevered and you just went back and made your corrections as needed. All right, let's take a look at the last one. Ooh, fractions and decimals. So looking at this problem, I see I'm having a mixture of problems. Now, when dealing with both fractions and decimals, the thing to remember is that it's best if you can put everything the same. So, for example, if the fractions are easily written as decimals, then change them to decimals. If they're repeating decimals, though, then you're going to want to change the decimals to fractions to keep it all on the same playing field, okay? Looking at these two fractions, right off the bat, I can quickly write these two fractions as decimals. They're really easy, especially 1/2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then also I'm going to make sure I change my subtraction to addition. So 3/10 as a decimal is literally just 3/10, right? 0.3. So I'm going to write this as 1.25 plus negative 0.3. And then I have my brackets. 1/2 as a decimal is 0.5. Okay. Now I'm going to analyze it. I see I have a grouping symbol. I have a set of brackets and I have a set of parentheses. So I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to focus on that area first. Within the brackets, I have another set of parentheses. So even though we have a grouping symbol within a grouping symbol, we want to start on the innermost part. So that means I'm going to be starting on this section right here. That's where I'm going to start. In that grouping symbol, I have addition and I have multiplication. Well, according to our order of operations, multiplication comes first, so I'm going to start with that. But I need to make sure I keep rewriting what I have not used. Remember, we need that organization. Now, 0.5 times 11, well, that's just half of 11. So I know half of 10 is 5 and half of 12 is 6. So that means half of 11 is 5.5. From here, I move on to negative 3 plus 5.5. Okay, rewrite everything we have not done. Okay, negative 3 plus 5.5, signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. 5.5 minus 3 is 2.5. And since 5.5 is bigger, I'm going to leave it as positive. All right, so now I'm into my brackets. Within my brackets, I have addition. Remember, that's multiplication, and then more addition. So I am going to be starting with multiplication. Okay, remember to rewrite what you have not used. Two times 2.5 is 5. Okay. All right, next I'm going to do negative 4 plus 5. Which is positive 1. Next, I'm going to do 1 plus 2. Which is 3. And I'm done with my grouping. Now I have the choice between addition, and don't forget, that's multiplication. Multiplication comes first, so that's what I'm going to do first. Now, let's do this off to the side just for practice. So I'm going to do 0.3 times 3. Think about where my decimal placement goes. So I need this to go in between the 0 and 9. So now we have 1.25 plus negative 0.9, right? Negative times a positive is a negative. Signs are different, so I know I'm going to subtract. So I'm going to show that off to the side. need to borrow. Okay, 1.25 is bigger, so I'm going to keep it positive. So my final answer is 0.35. So again, kudos to you if you were able to complete that without any mistakes. If not, persevere, keep working at it. You will get there eventually. You just got to keep trying. That's it for today's lesson. So you guys can go ahead and move on to the homework, which is very similar setup.